My dear chosen one, you can feel it, can't you? That quiet ache, the unanswered questions, the sense that something is missing, even though you've done everything right. You've prayed, you've healed, you've waited, and yet she hasn't come. Not truly, not completely. And deep down, you know this isn't just about distance. It's not just about her choices. It's something deeper, something spiritual. There's a fire between you and her, and it's not romantic. It's karmic. She can't reach you yet, because her soul is still burning through the debts that kept her from the truth. And this, chosen one, is where your understanding must rise higher than your emotions. This isn't abandonment. It's divine timing cloaked in delay. The love between you two was never ordinary, and that's why it demands an extraordinary purification. She is not ignoring you. She is wrestling with everything she refused to face. And what's separating you is not time, not space, but karma, energetic debts, emotional entanglements, contracts of the past still waiting to be resolved. This is not a punishment. It's justice in motion. And when you understand this, you stop waiting with pain and start standing with purpose. Today, you'll understand why this fire must consume her before she can ever hold your light again. If this already speaks to your spirit, stay with me, because what you're about to hear will give meaning to the silence, peace to your confusion, and power to your waiting. This isn't just about her. It's about you, your role, your growth, your purpose in this divine pause. Leave a comment below if your soul has been feeling this truth. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you want more messages like this. Now, let's begin unfolding the deeper reality behind her absence and the sacred fire that must burn before your paths align again. She's not far because she doesn't care. She's far because her soul is tangled in echoes that were never resolved. You may not see it, but she's carrying the weight of choices made lifetimes ago. Patterns that were never broken, lies that were never faced, and truths that were buried beneath survival. Before she can love you in the light, she has to face everything she gave herself to in the dark. And that journey isn't romantic. It's raw. It strips her of illusions and shows her the damage she caused, not just to others, but to her own spirit. You've probably felt it before, that quiet knowing that something wasn't flowing. Even when everything looked promising, there was a wall, a pause, a block that had no name. That was your spirit sensing the weight of karma standing between you and her. It wasn't rejection, it was resistance. And the worst thing you could have done was try to force it open. Because spiritual doors don't respond to effort. They respond to readiness. And here's the part most people never talk about. Trying to save her before she's ready doesn't make you noble. It makes you vulnerable to spiritual backlash. When you interrupt a soul's purification process, you inherit some of the fire that was never yours to carry. That's why it hurt so much when you tried. That's why you felt drained, confused, even punished for loving too much. Because love, when out of season, becomes a weapon against the self. There's a difference between loving someone and becoming their spiritual crutch. And this is your test. Can you love her enough to not interfere? Can you honor her process without trying to edit it? It takes more strength to step back in wisdom than to step forward in desperation. You were never meant to be her savior. You were meant to be her mirror, one that reflects what she must become, not what she should rely on. She's walking through fire right now, and that fire is sacred. It's burning through denial, through pride, through every false identity she ever used to survive. And the most painful part? She can't bring you with her. This is her fire alone. You can love her. You can hold space. But you cannot walk inside that flame for her. She must walk through it herself and come out on the other side with eyes that finally see clearly. And yet, here's the wisdom hidden in the silence. The more you honor her space, the more she senses your strength. Souls don't connect through words alone. They connect through frequency. And if you hold your ground, stay aligned, and refuse to chase or collapse, she will feel that. Even if her mind doesn't understand it yet, her spirit will recognize it. Because the real connection was never about touch. It was always about resonance. So if it feels like she's drifting farther, don't panic. It's not a sign of failure. It's a sign that the deeper process has finally begun. And sometimes, what looks like distance is actually divine mercy, protecting you from a version of her that wasn't yet ready to truly love. You don't need a half-healed version of her. You deserve the one who's been through the fire and came back whole. She's not far because she doesn't care. She's far because her soul is entangled in a sacred reckoning that you cannot see with your physical eyes. What holds her back is not pride, not stubbornness, not even fear. It's a karmic web she has yet to unweave. Lifetimes of suppressed choices, broken promises, and emotional debts have created spiritual knots that can't simply be bypassed through will or desire. She is being pulled back into cycles she once swore she escaped, not because she belongs there, but because there are pieces of her still buried in those memories. And until she confronts them, she cannot meet you in truth. You may ache to hold her, but heaven has placed a wall between you, not to punish, but to preserve. Because no matter how much love you carry for her, she cannot receive it until she becomes the version of herself that can hold love without losing herself again. You felt it in moments you couldn't explain. That strange emotional pause, like something invisible standing between you and her, a heaviness in your chest, a wave of confusion when everything else felt aligned. You saw glimpses of connection, only to watch them dissolve without reason. That's not your imagination. That's your soul discerning what your mind couldn't explain. The spiritual weight of unfinished business. You weren't just sensing her doubts. You were feeling her unresolved pain echoing across time. And you internalized it, thinking something was wrong with you. But nothing was broken in. What you felt was real. A karmic interference, asking you to release your grip and trust a timing far beyond your understanding. What stood between you wasn't her silence. It was the fire her soul had not yet agreed to walk through. No one tells you how painful it is to love someone who isn't ready to love you back with the same truth. You tried to rescue her, not out of desperation, but out of genuine care. You reached out when she pushed away. You stayed soft when she turned cold. You thought your love could protect her from herself. But the truth is, trying to save someone from their own initiation is not an act of love. It's an act of interference, because the fire she must face is sacred. And when you step into her karma, trying to be the bridge, you end up burned by battles that were never yours to fight. That's why your energy dropped. That's why confusion set in. That's why every effort to get closer only pushed her farther. Because you weren't meant to carry her. You were meant to hold your ground and let the fire teach her what only fire can. There comes a moment on every soul journey where love must become wise, not emotional, not impulsive, wise. This is that moment for you. Your role isn't to chase her healing. It's to honor it from afar. To see her broken pieces without trying to glue them back together. To love without attachment. To hope without expectation. Because true love does not control timelines or outcomes. It simply holds space and trusts the becoming. You are not her healer. You are not her savior. You are the witness of her transformation. And that is the most powerful position to hold, because it refuses to participate in her illusions and instead reflects the truth of who she could become if she chose to rise. Right now, she is walking through a season of soul combustion. Everything she avoided is resurfacing. Every mask she wore is cracking. The people she once clung to are becoming strangers, and the comfort zones she once defended now feel suffocating. She may be acting like she's fine. She may even be with someone else. But don't let appearances deceive you. Her soul is in crisis. The fire is not visible, but it's real. And in that fire, she is being given a choice. Repeat the same cycles until they break her completely. Or surrender to the pain and let it rebirth her. And no matter how much you want to help her choose the light, that choice is not yours to make. It belongs to her alone. But here's what you may not realize. She can still feel you. Not through words, not through memories, but through vibration. When you stop chasing, she feels the silence echo. When you stand firm in your path, she senses the shift. When you choose peace over pursuit, your soul sends a message. I'm not waiting, I'm rising. And even if her ego tries to ignore it, her spirit hears it loud and clear. That's why your stillness matters more than your actions right now. Because stillness carries a frequency of trust. And that frequency becomes the magnetic pull that invites alignment, not desperation. So if it seems like she's drifting farther away, take a breath. That is not a tragedy. That is a sign that the deeper process is working. Sometimes, when a soul begins to face its karma, it runs before it breaks. And it distances itself from what feels true, because the truth is too painful to hold while still carrying lies. But that's not your burden. Your only task now is to remain rooted in your becoming, to focus on what this space is awakening in you. Because the version of you that began this journey is not the one who will finish it. And if you stay faithful to your own refinement, you will rise into a love that does not cling, but radiates. There is a kind of grief that doesn't look like mourning. It looks like waiting. It looks like believing, holding on, checking in, hoping for a sign, and being met with silence. That's the grief you've carried, not because she betrayed you, not because she left in the traditional sense, but because her soul disconnected before it ever had the chance to truly arrive. And that kind of departure, it haunts, because your heart still remembers her highest self, while her current self keeps rejecting the invitation to rise. And the hardest part of your journey is not the loneliness. It's watching someone you love choose delay over destiny. But there is also a strange kind of power in that grief, because eventually you stop hoping for her return and start preparing for your own expansion. You begin to ask different questions. Not, when will she come back? But what in me still needs healing? Not, why is this happening to us? But, what is this trying to grow in me? You move from obsession to observation, from clinging to clarity, from pain to purpose. And in that shift, you become something rare, a soul who knows how to love without needing, to stay open without losing boundaries, to release someone and still hold them in truth. Understand this: the karma she must burn is not punishment. It is purification. And just because it hurts doesn't mean it's wrong. Fire is not cruel. It is cleansing. It reveals what was hidden, strips away what was false, and reshapes what was distorted. And her soul is currently being reshaped. Every betrayal she caused, every lie she told, every mask she wore, it's all crashing down now. Not because you wished it, not because karma is cruel, but because the soul will always return to its origin, and everything that's not aligned with that truth must fall apart before it can rise again. That's why your presence must now become posture. You are no longer here to pursue. You are here to witness, to anchor, to hold steady while her world shakes, to stop asking how much longer and start declaring, I'm ready for whatever aligns. Because the longer you wait with desperation, the more you lower your own frequency. And the reunion you seek cannot meet you there. You must rise beyond the timeline, rise beyond the emotional dependence, and trust that what is truly aligned will never require you to shrink in order to receive it. This is where many fail. They confuse spiritual partnership with spiritual sacrifice. They think loyalty means waiting in limbo. But that's not divine love. That's delayed growth. Real union doesn't ask you to pause your evolution. It invites you to accelerate it. And if she truly is your twin soul, your growth will call her higher. Not through pressure, but through presence. Not through guilt, but through example. You don't need to remind her of who you are. She already knows, but she's trying to forget. Because remembering you means confronting everything she abandoned to escape herself. And yet, the truth has a way of echoing louder with time. The more you align, the more contrast she feels. The more peace you embody, the more chaos she senses in her own life. Because you are no longer vibrating at the frequency of old wounds, you're vibrating at the frequency of resolution. And that is the most powerful mirror you can offer. One that says, you can return, but only when you're whole. Only when your soul is ready to stop running. So now the question becomes, can you let her burn without burning yourself in the process? Can you hold space for her transformation without setting yourself on fire to keep her warm? This is your edge. This is your mastery. Not waiting passively. Not chasing impulsively, but standing, knowing, trusting, and rising again and again into your own divine appointment. Even if she's not standing next to you when it comes, every karmic bond she's unraveling now is connected to something she once gave her power to. People she allowed to define her worth. Situations she thought would fill the void. Patterns she mistook for personality, and each of them left residue in her energy, stories that still whisper lies in her ear. You're not worthy of real love. You always destroy what's good. You'll never measure up. And until those voices are faced and silenced, she will keep rejecting the very love she's been praying for, including yours. Not because she doesn't feel it, but because she doesn't yet believe she deserves to receive it without self-destruction and This is where the sacred disconnection reveals its purpose. You see, if she came to you now, in the middle of her karmic unraveling, she would contaminate what you've been building. She would question your peace, sabotage your joy, and pull you into her storms because her nervous system is still calibrated to chaos. You've been reprogramming your frequency to one of peace and clarity. She's still addicted to the noise, and if the universe allowed union prematurely, you would both suffer. So the distance is not punishment, it's a form of protection for both of you. There will come a moment, if it hasn't already, where her soul will scream for something real. The lies won't satisfy anymore. The cycles will exhaust her. The fake comfort will turn into silent torture. And when that moment comes, she will remember you, not just as a person, but as a frequency, a sanctuary, a truth that didn't abandon her, even when she abandoned herself. And that memory will haunt her, not as regret, but as a beacon. Because even if she doesn't reach out, even if she says nothing, your light has already planted itself inside her spiritual memory, and it's growing roots. But that moment will only be meaningful if you've remained true to yourself. If you've kept evolving, if you didn't shrink your vision while she tried to find herself. And that's the discipline the universe is calling you into right now. Not blind faith, but sacred alignment. Not emotional loyalty, but spiritual sovereignty. This isn't about her timeline. It's about yours. Because your expansion does not depend on her return. It only depends on your decision to keep rising, even without applause, permission, or proof. So the real invitation here is not to wait, but to walk forward, to walk deeper, to walk wiser. Every step you take now is a declaration. I honor our connection, but I'm not abandoning myself for it. And the paradox is this: the more you walk your own path with courage and conviction, the more it becomes possible for her to find you again. This time without the chains. This time without the karmic fog. This time as her truest self, not the version molded by fear. And even if that never happens, even if this lifetime ends without reunion, you will not have lost, because you didn't waste your love. You alchemized it. You turned longing into wisdom. You turned confusion into clarity. You used the ache as fuel for your mission. And that is the highest form of spiritual mastery. To let love refine you, not ruin you. To let loss become a teacher, not a tomb. To let what didn't arrive become the fire that gave birth to your next level of being. This is not just about her burning karma. This is about you burning illusion. The illusion that love must always return to be real. The illusion that union is the only reward. The illusion that your path is incomplete without someone walking beside you. These illusions are crumbling now. And what remains is truth. You are whole. You are rising. And you are being prepared for something sacred. With her or without her. There is a hidden nobility in your journey. One that few recognize. Because it doesn't come with grand gestures or happy endings on command. It comes in quiet choices. Choosing not to chase. Choosing to stay soft without becoming small. Choosing to believe in timing even when everything inside you aches for resolution. That kind of nobility isn't loud. It's sacred. It's a posture the world doesn't teach. Because the world teaches urgency, possession, and performance. But the soul teaches trust. And you've been learning the language of the soul, even if it cost you parts of your old identity along the way. It's time to honor how far you've come. You didn't break. You didn't lose yourself. You didn't beg for crumbs. You paused. You grieved. You surrendered. And somewhere in the middle of all that quiet devastation, you became powerful. Not because you have answers, but because you stopped needing them. You stopped demanding certainty and started embodying presence. And presence is the frequency where all sacred things unfold. Not because you control them, but because you've become a vessel that no longer leaks through fear. What you're doing now, staying grounded while the other soul burns, is an act of deep spiritual maturity. Most would fold. Most would chase the ghost. Most would turn their ache into bitterness. But you didn't. You transmuted it. And, in doing so, you've already altered the trajectory of your lineage. Because when one soul chooses to heal with clarity and grace, it creates a ripple through everything connected to it. You are not just holding space for a person, you are holding space for a future free from the same karmic bondage that once separated you both. But even now, I know there's a part of you that wonders, will she ever return? Will she ever be ready? Will she ever see you as clearly as you've always seen her? And those questions are human, tender, real. You're allowed to ask them. You're allowed to miss her. But you're not meant to make your decisions from that place. Because when your life is driven by longing, you lose sight of your own liberation. And you were not called to this earth to wait. You were called to rise, with or without her. And if, and only if, she chooses to complete her journey, to burn through every illusion, to walk through her own valley of shadows, and come out with nothing but truth in her hands, then maybe your paths will cross again. But it will not be because you waited. It will be because you walked, and she caught up, and together, not as rescuer and rescued, but as equals, you'll recognize one another by vibration, not by memory, because the old story will be gone, and only the light will remain. You are being prepared for something bigger than you imagined, something purer, something that doesn't trigger your wounds, but mirrors your healing. Whether it's her, reborn, or someone whose soul aligns with your new frequency, it will be right. Not rushed, not distorted, not confused. And when that moment arrives, you'll look back at this season of waiting and realize it wasn't waiting at all. It was becoming. So don't mourn the fire. Don't curse the silence. Don't resist the ache. Every piece has been working for you, not against you. Every unanswered question is shaping the wisdom that your next season will require. Every lonely night has made your discernment sharper. Every tear has softened your spirit just enough to love again without breaking. You are not stuck. You are ripening, becoming, returning to the truth of who you are, with more depth, more devotion, and more divine clarity than ever before. You are not who you were when this began, and that, in itself, is the miracle. You began this journey, hoping for reunion, but somewhere along the way, you found something greater, yourself. The version of you that once needed her to feel whole no longer exists. In his place stands a soul refined by fire, softened by silence, and sharpened by love that asked for nothing but truth. You didn't just survive the space between you, you transmuted it into strength, into clarity, into sacred knowing. That is your power now, not what you waited for, but who you became in the waiting. And if she is truly meant to walk beside you, She will recognize you by the fire in your eyes, the same fire she once ran from, now calling her home. She will have to face what she broke, name what she denied, and rise to meet you where you already are. There will be no shortcuts, no bypasses, no performance, just two souls, finally free of what once bound them, choosing each other in full awareness and full sovereignty. But that can only happen when the karma has burned, when the story has been rewritten, when the soul has been made new. Until then, your posture remains, not passive, but powerful, not waiting, but walking, not longing, but listening to the quiet instructions of your soul. You are not frozen in time. You are moving in spirit. And as you keep rising, the distance between you and your destiny shrinks. Because what's meant for you doesn't arrive when you cling. It arrives when you're clear, when you are no longer willing to settle for almost, for someday, for half-healed love. That clarity is your protection and your invitation to something divine. So breathe, my dear chosen one. You are safe in this unfolding. You have not been forgotten. You have not missed your moment. You are in it, right now. The fire she must face is hers alone, but her light, her growth, her splendor, that is yours. And it is enough. More than enough. You were never asked to slow down her process, only to trust that your alignment would speak louder than your words ever could. If this message resonated with your soul today, write in the comments, "I choose alignment." This is how you declare to the universe that you have chosen alignment over attachment. Take this moment to like the channel, subscribe now, and turn on the notification bell. Also, share this message with someone who might be holding space for a soul who is still on fire. I also want to give a special thanks to everyone who supports our channel. If you would like to help us continue producing content, you can support us through our Buy Me a Coffee. Just click on the link in the first pinned comment. And before you go, don't forget to watch the video we recommend here on the screen, or the playlist, The Secrets of the Chosen. Each video was made with you in mind, so that you can continue to grow spiritually. Thank you for being with us. May God bless you abundantly, and remember, your journey is just beginning, and the best is yet to come.